All right, so we are getting quite a few people trying to join, so this is exciting.
12-year-old, let me know, okay? A 12-year-old.
Evening. Tonight we are just going to pretty much go over scholarships and financial aid and all of that stuff. So we will we'll have Miss Elisa and Miss Heather go. They're going to just be presenting about pretty much everything that you need to know about scholarships and financial aid. But if y'all have any questions, Deidre and I will be kind of just moderating this. We are both recruiters with Arkansas Tech, so we know a lot about a lot, but these women are the experts on this stuff. So if you have questions, you can put it down there in the chat and we'll try to answer them while they're presenting. But if there's anything that we don't specifically know the answer to, then we'll just stop them and we'll ask them and just kind of let them answer. So, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over. Miss Elisa, are you going to go first?
Yes, I'm going to go first, and let me share my screen if I can do this. There we go. Okay. Hopefully everybody can hear me. My name is Elisa Winiski. I'm the Associate Director for Academic Scholarships here at Arkansas Tech. And again, welcome. We're so glad that y'all have joined us tonight. I'm going to talk about freshman academic and foundation scholarships. We have 5 levels of freshman academic scholarships. All of these are for students who are seniors and going to be graduating in May of 2021. All of these levels, except for the Leadership Scholarship, do require a 3.0 cumulative high school GPA, and they're broken down by ACT scores. So we'll just go over those very quickly. Our Leadership Scholarship, although it doesn't have a GPA listed, we do take GPA into consideration. It does require a minimum ACT score of 17. And all of these, we will accept an equivalent SAT composite score as well. We do award a limited number of these, and it is a $1,000 per year award. The next level, and again, all of these next levels do require a 3-point cumulative. Next level students have to have a 21 to 23, and that's for our Green and Gold Scholarship. That is a $2,000 per year award. The next level is our Dean Scholarship. That's for students who have a 24 to 25 on the ACT or equivalent SAT, and that's a $4,000 per year award. Our Presidential Scholarship is for students who have a composite score of 26 to 29, and that's $6,000 per year. And the most lucrative scholarship that we award to freshmen out of our office is the Board of Trustees Scholarship, and that's for students who have a 30 or better on the ACT, and that is an $8,000 per year award. So things to keep in mind about these scholarships. Again, applicants must be graduating high school seniors, and you do have to be admitted as a first-time entering freshman on the Russellville campus to be considered for a scholarship offer. You also have to be either a U.S. citizen or a resident alien. The application for admission serves as the freshman academic scholarship application. So there's not a separate scholarship application to complete. You do have to have an early admit status, which means in addition to the undergraduate application for admission, we will have to have a current high school transcript and qualifying ACT scores on file. Now, the deadline to apply, the priority deadline to apply for these scholarships is November 15th. That's coming up next month. The final deadline to apply is February 15th. And the national February ACT exam scores are the last results that we will use for scholarship consideration. And Arkansas Tech does not currently accept ACT super scores for scholarship consideration. If we have any students with us tonight who are live in any of the contiguous states to Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Tennessee, or Texas, those students are considered in-state for tuition purposes, which is wonderful. You're charged the same tuition as an Arkansas student. If you live out, any students who is outside of that, We do offer a limited number of out-of-state scholarship awards to help with that out-of-state tuition. You can only receive one freshman academic scholarship in any semester, but you can receive one of our academic scholarships in a concurrent advantage scholarship. And I'm going to talk about the concurrent advantage scholarships in just a minute. Again, you have to be admitted on the Russellville campus, have to be enrolled in 15 hours. You do have to have a free application for federal student aid or a FAFSA on file with the financial aid office, and Heather's going to talk about that a little bit. All of that has to happen before the scholarship will credit to your account. And you also either have to live on campus in an on-campus residence hall, or if you are within the guidelines to where you can live and just commute, you can get an exemption to the residency requirements from the Residence Life Office, but you do have to have one or the other. And finally, all of these scholarships are renewable for 7 consecutive semesters after the first, or the completion of an undergraduate degree, whichever comes first. So you can have the scholarship for a total of 4 years, as long as you meet the renewal requirements. Some of the other scholarship opportunities for freshmen, again, we do have a concurrent advantage scholarship, and this is for high school seniors who've earned concurrent credit from Arkansas Tech University as a high school student. And again, you do have to be admitted on our Russellville campus to be eligible for this scholarship. It can be bundled with the academic scholarships, and it is a $1,000 per year award. There is not a separate application for this scholarship. It's just awarded automatically to students who've completed concurrent credit at Arkansas Tech. For students who are graduating high school seniors who are recognized as a Governor's Distinguished Scholar, that is a scholarship that is awarded by the state of Arkansas. And again, Heather, I think, will probably touch on the application process for this. But students who are selected as Governor's Distinguished Scholars, we do automatically apply an advanced scholar stipend. It's bundled with the freshman academic scholarship, and that is a $2,000 per year award. And the only reason you wouldn't get that is if you were selected to be part of our university honors program, because you can't have the honors stipend and the advanced scholar stipend. But we do have an honors program on campus, and it does, students who are selected for that do receive a stipend. You have to be a graduating high school senior. You do have to have a 3.5 cumulative GPA and either an ACT composite score of 27 or better, or equivalent SAT, or be in the top 10% of your graduating class. It's a $4,000 per year stipend that is bundled with the academic scholarship. It does require a separate application that includes an essay, and it also requires an interview. And I've put the link or the website on, you can see it here. The application and information is available on the website. The deadline to apply for university honors is noon on December 1st. So if you're interested, you need to get that taken care of. You do have to be admitted, have that early admit status to be able to complete that application. And Dr. Jamie Stacy is the interim director of the University Honors Program, and I've listed her email address there. It's jstacy4@atu.edu, and I'm sure she would be happy to field any questions that you might have. We also have scholarships available through our foundation office. Our foundation office manages over 300 different scholarships set up by private donors. And so the criteria for consideration and the award amounts vary. So some of them are specifically for incoming freshmen, some are for current ATU students. Transfer students can also apply for these. They're all different. Consideration for these scholarships, it also requires an early admit status to be able to complete the foundation scholarship application, and I'm going to show you where you can find that in just a minute. And the deadline to complete this application is February 15th. They do have a priority deadline of November 15th as well, but the final deadline is February 15th. One thing about the foundation scholarships, I mentioned with the freshman academic scholarships that they were only for U.S. citizen or resident aliens. DACA students, undocumented students, they can apply for these scholarships. There are only 2 that require recipients to be U.S. citizens. So, the DACA students can apply for these. Also, the Foundation Office currently has 2 scholarship opportunities that are specifically for Hispanic students, the IME Fellowship and the LULAC Scholarship. And Ms. Christy Brown is the scholarship administrator for these particular scholarships. And her email address you can see is cbrown54@atu.edu, or you can reach her by phone. The application portal is open for these scholarships. Again, you do have to have that early admit status because you are going to use your login, similar to your OneTech. You'll use that to log in. It can be accessed directly from the website, and I've put that web address there. And if you go directly to the website, this is what you're going to see over to the right. You'll have to put in your username and password, but the portal can also be accessed by simply logging into your OneTech account. And when you log into your OneTech account, this is what you're going to see over to the left. If you go to the Tuition and Aid tab, then this is what you'll see. And you'll notice over to the right, it says scholarships and it says apply for foundation scholarships. And you click on that and then you just start putting your information in and answering the questions. We have an alumni scholarship. So if we have any students tonight whose parents either graduated from Tech or completed at least 1 full year, they do have to have completed at least 24 credit hours. They can apply. There are some other, we'll talk about the other requirements. And they also do give preference to to the parents who have received either a technical certificate or a greater credential. But if your parent attended Tech, graduated or attended Tech, you're an incoming high school student, plan to enroll in the fall semester. If you have a 3.2 GPA and an ACT composite score of 21, you can apply for this scholarship. I think they do take financial need into consideration as well. You do have to enroll in at least 12 hours while you receive the scholarship, and it is a 2-semester award. And the foundation scholarship application also serves as the alumni scholarship application. So that's once you fill out that application, it'll use the information and you'll be considered for the alumni scholarship as well. So again, that deadline is February 15th. If you have questions about the alumni scholarship, they need to be directed straight to the alumni office, and I've listed the phone number and the email address. And all of this information is available on our website. I think it's very easy to navigate. So, get out there and look around. And now, if anybody has any questions, I will be happy to take questions. And there I am. There's me. Also, I'm going to be on till the end of the session, and I'm at work just pretty much every day. If anybody has questions, I've listed my email there. I will be happy to be a point of contact because I'm always happy to answer questions for students. Okay, there we go. Any questions?
There is one from the scholarship stack on the academic scholarships.
Heather, do you want to fill that one? There are some rules with that. Heather may be able to answer that better.
Yes, for the most part, they can, as long as you don't, and we're going to talk about the cost of attendance and everything, but normally you can receive, let's say, like a softball scholarship from Tech and also a university scholarship from Tech. So that is a possibility, yes.
All right. So if we don't have any more questions, and if y'all do end up having more questions, please let us know. Perfect. Okay. And now Miss Heather is going to take over.
Can you hear me at all, Cassidy? Okay, I cannot get back in here to share my screen. It is itty bitty. Do you have any? I'm so sorry, y'all.
Just having a little bit of technical difficulty.
Yes, I shared the wrong one, and now you're like teeny tiny up in the top of my screen. Oh my golly.
I think if you click the box where we are, it will get back bigger. Or if you hover over it, you can expand it.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I am so sorry.
It's showing your presentation, but it's not in the presentation mode.
Do you know how I can get out of this, Cassidy?
Maybe escape.
Right here. Here we go. Stop sharing.
You got it? All
Here
right.
we go. Okay, I am sorry, guys. Okay, let me try this one more time. Okay, what can you see now?
And before we get started, Miss Heather, Jacob had a question. It says, is the honors stipend guaranteed with admission to the honors college? And so, based on that?
Yeah, I am almost positive that every student who is selected to participate in the honors program does receive an honors stipend, especially the ones who are coming in as new freshmen. So yes, if you are accepted into the honors program, then yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, we will switch it back over to you, Heather.
Is not wanting to let me. I can't see what you guys are saying, but okay, let's try this right here. Okay, we good now? Okay, so my name is Heather Taylor, and I am the Associate Director in the Financial Aid Office here at Arkansas Tech. I handle pretty much any kind of federal aid. We do some of the scholarships. Elisa awards them, and then we kind of do the back end of them. So what we're going to talk about is kind of how to apply for federal aid and some of the options that you have, what you can be awarded, kind of a little bit of scholarships, but Elisa touched on those. But your first step is an FSA ID. So this FSA ID is your digital signature on the FAFSA. What you will do is you'll actually apply online at this web link right here, fsaid.ed.gov. Note that none of the FAFSA websites have a www in front of them. That'll give you an error, but go to fsaid.ed.gov. You can go ahead and do this now. We recommend do not use your high school email address, because what's going to happen, this FSA ID is going to go with you guys throughout. If you go to 4 years of college, grad school, doctorate school, this is how you're always, until the federal government changes it, this is how you're going to sign your FAFSA. And what happens is, let's say you didn't write it down and you forget it, you do have the option to retrieve it, but they're going to want an email address. So of course, if it's your high school email address, they're going to terminate those or lock you out of those at the end of this year. So don't use your high school email address if possible. Also, a student and a parent must have different email addresses. So me and my daughter would have to have different email addresses. On this, the parent has to have one FSA ID. So if I have 3 kids going to college, I'm going to have one FSA ID, but each of the students have to have their own FSA ID. So mine works for all, but the students have to have different ones. Also, always keep your FSA ID and password in a secure location. You will need it, like I said, for future reference. So always try to keep that handy. So the next one is how to apply. There's actually 3 different ways that you can apply for the FAFSA. This is becoming more popular. The mobile app is kind of becoming the thing now. You can go download the Federal Student Aid app, and it gives you the option where the student can go in and fill out their part. Your parent can download the application and log into your FAFSA, and they can sign it separately. So that's kind of neat for all the ones who like to use their phone. If you're like me and kind of old school, the online option is what I like. You're going to go to studentaid.gov, again, no www, and it looks like this right here. It's this, you'll click on the login now, and it'll click on start here, and it'll give you the options. It'll walk you through all the steps. They also still have a paper application. They sent those to us. We don't get them anymore. This is the slowest way to complete an application. You have to fill it out on paper. You have to send it in, mail it in. It takes weeks for it to process. So we absolutely don't recommend that unless you have to. So the next step in completing the FAFSA is to go to studentaid.gov or one of the other options, and it begins October 1st. So the 21-22 FAFSA, which is what you're going to complete for next August, it seems like forever away, but it's actually out there right now. So it opened on Thursday. It must be completed each year. It's not a one and done because it's going to use different taxes every year. So this next, you're going to fill one out. Let's say you do it tonight, you're going to have to do another one next October the 1st. So don't forget that. And some schools require, like Tech requires the FAFSA to be completed every year if you receive any institutional funds. So those athletic scholarships, any of the scholarships that Lisa talked about, the foundation, the ATU, ACT scholarships, if your parent works here and gets a faculty staff waiver for you, all those you have to have the FAFSA filled out, and some other schools require it as well. So the basic eligibility requirements for federal aid are you must be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, and the student must have a valid SSN. The parent does not have to have a valid Social Security number. We can put zeros in there. There's if they don't have a Social Security number, but the student has to have a valid Social Security number. The student must be a high school graduate or a GED holder, and then males must be registered for selective service. A lot of students, I know when I graduated high school, I was 17. So if I was male, I couldn't register for selective service because I wasn't 18. There is an option on the FAFSA that says register me. So once your 18th birthday rolls around, it's going to automatically have you in that system and it'll register you. So don't worry about that. We'll get you taken care of. So what year's income information are you supposed to use? So what they've started is using prior year, which just means 2 years ago information. So you're filling it out for 21-22. So you're going to use 2019 income tax information. And the good thing is that your taxes, your parents' taxes should already be completed from 2 years ago. So that kind of helps out a lot. And what we suggest is using the data retrieval tool. What that is on the FAFSA, it's going to give you the option, you and your parents, which you may not have filed taxes, but a lot of your parents will have, but it gives them the option to actually go in there and they're going to sign in with their FSA ID and go directly to the IRS website. You're going to have to type in your the address put on your taxes, and just a little tip, you need to put it in exactly as that address is. So if I live on North Shore Drive, if it's an N on your taxes, a capital N, you have to put a capital N. If drive is spelled out, it has to be exact. I mean, they're very picky about that. But you absolutely want to use that because what happens is it pulls it straight from the IRS, so you can't make any errors because it came straight from your taxes. And then also all the privacy, it blacks it out to where we can't even see the numbers. You guys can't see them on the FAFSA. Whenever they come through, they're going to be, I think, hashtags on there, the number sign, pound sign. And then on the tax documents, you're going to use like we said, the 2019 tax return, which is your 1040, the W-2s from 2019 for the parents and the student, any child support paid or received if applicable, and any untaxed income. So down here on the bottom with the asterisk, it says, and this is where it gets kind of confusing because you're looking at 2019, but your household size is a snapshot of what it currently is. So if there's currently 5 in the household and 3 in college, you're going to use that. You're not going to use 2019's household size. Also, you're going to use whoever is going to be in college in 21-22. So that's where it gets a little crazy right there. So some of the questions we have is, whose income information do I use? If both of your parents, your biological parents, are married, you're going to use theirs. That one's pretty easy. Even if they filed separate taxes, you have to combine them and use both of their incomes. If the biological parents are divorced, you're going to use the information of the parent that you last lived with. So if that's dad, you're going to use dad. And if he's remarried, you also have to use stepmom. A lot of people forget to use that, but if parent is remarried, you are required to use the step parent on the FAFSA. So what if you have a situation that's a little bit different? Maybe you don't live with your mom and dad, maybe grandma's taking care of you, or you have something that doesn't fit in those two instances. So the only people you could ever use on the FAFSA is a biological parent or an adoptive parent. You can't ever use your legal guardians. If you live with your friends or your coach, you can't use them. You can't use grandparents unless somebody adopted you. If you don't fit into that, then what you can do is you can speak with the financial aid office at your college. Every college is different. It's called professional judgment. So we're kind of given a little bit of leeway as to what exactly we can do. to kind of help you fill it out. But what our job is to make sure that, you know, you guys get federal aid. Because we all know that maybe you don't have biological parents or adoptive parents that are right there that can provide the information. So talk to your school about that, and we will help you out and let you know what you need to turn in to prove some documentation and see what we need to use on the FAFSA. So some common errors we see, and we try to like to give you guys a heads up just so maybe you won't make these errors as well. Of course, parents, you know, filling out the information, the FAFSA, sometimes they put their name in, or they accidentally put your name and their social or their date of birth. So just make sure if your parent is helping you fill this out that they put in the student's information. Probably the number one issue we have is missing a signature. The student will sign it with their FSA ID. The parent has to sign it if you are a dependent student, and it'll tell you at the end if you need a parent signature. So always make sure that the parent signs it. If we get one without a signature, it just sits there. We can't do anything to it because it's not a valid FAFSA. So make sure to sign it. Also, you know, the SSN, a lot of times numbers are transposed. Your name, it is your name, your legal name. So if you are Will Jones, we can't use Will, or William Jones, we can't use Will, we can't use Bill. It's whatever's on your social security card. So put in William Jones, and you know, we can do the nickname here at Tech. So on the income, you, like we said, data retrieval tool is your friend. You can avoid messing up the income that's on there. Any income taxes paid. If you're doing it on your own, just a tip, your income taxes paid will never equal their income. So we have that a lot. $20,000 in income, $20,000 in taxes. That won't ever be correct. So make sure to watch that. And then the household size and the number in college are, like I said, it's a snapshot of now, not 2019. So you guys have already done the FAFSA, you got to complete. So the next step is that the school is going to receive this FAFSA electronically. Every school is different. So we may receive it faster than UCA, but U of A, you know, different schools may receive it at different times, depending on their processing period. I actually set up the 21-22 year today. So hopefully we're going to start downloading them within the next couple of weeks if you're coming here. So what we do is we're going to process everything, and we send out what we call MILs, or missing information letters. So here we send that through your email. You can also look on your OneTech for any updates. So just keep watching that, and that'll tell you what you need to turn in. So about 30% of the population that fills out the FAFSA is chosen for verification. And what that is just the federal government is saying, financial aid, we need to make sure that what they put on their FAFSA is correct. So that's when we have to verify your income. So that data retrieval tool, if you use that, we don't have to have your taxes or your parents' taxes. That it's very hard sometimes to get those taxes because it's 2 years ago. Stuff happens. But if you use the data retrieval tool, we do not have to have them. We may request W-2s. We may request Social Security income. It is not counted against you on the FAFSA, but sometimes they require proof. And then also the verification worksheet, we have to have you fill that out, and that's just verifying household and number in college. And I know this is a lot, so if I'm talking too fast, just let me know. Okay, so avoid sticker shock. There's two things, and this cost of attendance is something that we're required by law to put on an award letter. So whenever you get packaged with your federal aid, you're going to get an email notification if you're coming here that tells you, it's called the cost of attendance. It's going to give an estimate, and I use the word estimate. It is an estimate of your tuition fees, books and supplies, room and meals if you live on campus. If not, if it's off campus, it'll be an estimate of those. Transportation, and then like your miscellaneous Walmart expenses, loan fees, and different stuff like that. That right there is a giant estimate of what it might cost, a student to go here. Right now, your cost of attendance is about $19,000 to $21,000 living on campus. That is not what you owe Tech, so don't let that scare you whenever you see it. The actual charges, that is what you're actually going to owe Tech. What student accounts, they should send out the bills. Ours sends it out in July, and that actually has your actual tuition and fees based on your hours. The on-campus housing, if you're living on campus, a meal plan, a PO box, all that kind of stuff. So that's actually what you owe. It's not that cost of attendance. So when you get that, don't be scared and think there's no way I can afford it. I promise you, it's not that much. So that's just, we can't give you more aid than that cost of attendance. So we're going to talk about aid. Some need-based aid is, and what need is that is just We use that cost of attendance, and then we take the EFC from the FAFSA, which is the expected family contribution that the federal government looks into, and they just look to see, you know, what they think the parent should be able to afford. But they take that EFC, the closer to zero, the more Pell Grant eligible the student's going to be. And then we also have to take out any outside scholarships that if you get a tech scholarship or whatever, that will, of course, drop your need down because you're getting more money. But need-based aid is an SEOG grant, federal work study, and we're going to talk about these more here in a second, a subsidized loan in the Pell Grant. So you're going to get loans no matter what. It's just the subsidized loan is the one that is based on need. And of course, the Pell Grant is based on that EFC. So if it's a very high EFC, you're not going to be Pell eligible. So student loans, there's actually two different kinds of student loans and one parent loan. Like we said, the sub loan is need-based, and the government pays the interest. This is your good loan. The government pays your interest until the student enters repayment. So it's an interest-free loan. Right now, you're at 2.75 is the interest rate. So it's a really good interest rate right now. The unsub is not a bad loan, but what we say is unsub is unfavorable. So this one, the interest begins when the loan is dispersed. So if you're a freshman, you're going to have a 30-day hold on your loan fund. So they're actually going to come in September and pay on your account if you have everything done. So once that hits in September, that interest is going to start accruing. You do not have to pay the interest. You do not have to pay any of these loans back till you graduate. But if you can pay the interest, we would suggest that you do that. Just that way the loan balance doesn't get high as quick, because it can build up pretty quick. Like I said, we don't have to repay until 6 months after you graduate or drop below half-time, which is 6 hours for an undergrad, 5 for a grad. And then they give you, the plus loan, the parent plus loan. What that is that is a loan in the parent's name that they can take out for the student's college, or college expenses. It is a separate application and a credit check. And if the parent is interested in that, here we actually open the application on July 1st. And if you're interested in coming to Tech and want to do that, just contact our financial aid officer on July the 1st, and we can give you the link as to where to go and how to fill it out. Now, this one's a little bit different because the repayment begins 60 days after the loan is fully dispersed. So if you go fall and spring, it's going to hit in January, that second disbursement. 60 days after that, you're going to go into repayment. The parent is, not the student. There is a deferment available, but the parent must request it. Also, these can be denied because it is based on the parent's credit. If it is denied due to credit, what we can do is we can offer the student more of this unsub loan in replace of that plus loan. So with a plus loan, you're getting money either way, either through the parent or through the student. So whenever you receive federal aid, you do have to you do have to meet certain standards to keep renewing that federal aid. One of them is, and this includes grants, your Pell Grant, the SEOG grant, loans, work study. You must have a 2.0 GPA after 4 terms of attendance. So if you start next fall, by the end of your sophomore year, you're going to have a 2.0 GPA. If you don't, you're more than likely not going to be eligible for federal aid. So we don't want to do that. So you kind of need to do good in the first couple semesters to build that GPA up, because we all know it's easier to knock it down than get it back up. Also, you must complete at least 67% of the attempted hours. So if you start in 12 your first semester and decide to drop to 6, of course, you've only completed 50%, so you're going to be in violation of that. So just anytime that you want to drop a class or withdraw, always check with financial aid first. We'll kind of give you your options, tell you if it's the right time, or if it's going to help you, if the good outweighs the bad. So check with us. Always, you must complete your degree within 150% of the time for the program. So for a bachelor's degree, you have to complete it within 180 hours. Most bachelor's degree only take like 120, so they give you a little bit of wiggle room there. And an associate's is 90 hours. So this is with the Arkansas Department of Higher Education, or ADHE, as probably a lot of you know. This is their website, scholarships.adhe.edu. This is where you're going to go online, and some of your counselors may have already started doing this. I know a lot of high school counselors are big on having you fill out the application at school, but it's called the Universal Application, and it's universal because it applies you for all these scholarships here. The Challenge Scholarship, which a lot of you know as the Lottery Scholarship, the Governor's, the Military Dependents, the LEO, the AR Futures Grant if you're going for an associate's degree like at the Ozark campus. The ADHE department, if you go on their website, it goes into great detail about these. And like I said, that universal will apply you for all of them. You must have a FAFSA on file this first year to get the ADHE scholarship. So what I suggest, do your FAFSA as soon as you get out of that, go ahead and do the ADHE application. That way, you know you're done with it and you don't have to go back in. The deadline for these scholarships is July the 1st. So at midnight on July the 1st, they're shutting it off. Lisa's already kind of talked about this, just to kind of reiterate the ATU scholarships. Your priority deadline is November the 15th. On this, it says the deadline for foundation is the November 15th. That's also a priority deadline. And then the final deadline for both ATU, ACT, and foundation scholarships is February the 15th. And I know that was a lot of information all at once. So does anybody, stop sharing this? Okay, there we go. Does anybody have any questions? I know it's a lot, I'm sorry. And let me just say, if you ever have any questions or you need help filling out a FAFSA, we have staff here Monday through Friday, and we have computers up front. If you want to bring in your tax information, all that information we talked about, you're more than welcome to sit up here at the front desk, and we can absolutely help you fill it out. So don't let it be overwhelming. Don't wait till the last minute. We can help you out.
That's what I was going to say. I went to Tech all 4 years of undergrad, and every year my mom and I would go in with her tax information or my parents' tax information, and they would help walk me through the whole process, just because it can be a little tedious. So they're really, really great about helping out. And I'm going to drop their contact information just in the chat. But if y'all have any other questions, you can put it in the chat, or if you have access to unmute yourself, you can do that also.
Cassidy, I'd also like to recommend if students are looking for scholarships, check with your counseling office and see, because sometimes there are local scholarships. There might be a scholarship that is sponsored by a civic organization in your town or one of the local insurance agencies, or there's all kinds of different community scholarships that are available, and the high school counseling office should have access to that. So I would encourage students to check into that as well.
Yes, there's tons out there. There's tons of scholarships out there that are like national, but definitely check out your community scholarships, because the community that I grew up in, they were very, very helpful, and they always donated money to help the students, even if it's just a couple $100, that can help pay for some books. So it looks like we have another question. So Kara said, if we got the early application, are we already considered for the scholarships that just require ACT scores and grades, such as the presidential scholarship?
Yes, I've actually sent out a first round of scholarship offers. I'm waiting for we've received some of the September ACT scores, waiting for them to load. It's probably going to be the middle of the month before those scores are loaded. And I'm going to wait until after all of those scores are loaded, so that I want to make sure and extend the offers at the appropriate level. So probably the next round of offers will go out probably the end of October. And if you have an early admit status and you meet those requirements, you should expect to get an offer. Now, and let me just explain how we do that. I send out an email that has a link. It just says click here to accept the scholarship, click here. I also send out a follow-up letter that has the link in the letter. And you have to use the link to log into the portal. You'll log in with your same One Tech credentials to accept the scholarship. And for students who, if we make an award, I'll just go ahead and address this too. If we go ahead and we make an award right now, and let's say that you take the ACT again in February and you raise your ACT score in February, we will automatically raise those awards once we get those scores in. You do have to accept the scholarship. You have to accept your original scholarship offer. But then after we do that, once we get those scores in, and it takes a couple of weeks for all of that to happen, but we will raise awards. Does that answer the question? Hopefully.
Yes, I believe so. So pretty much just whenever you apply, I do kind of want to point this out also. We had a huge response to our application launch in July and August. So if you've applied but you haven't quite heard anything from us yet, don't get stressed out, don't get anxious. Just make sure that we have your documents. And then just as soon as we get to your application, we'll get it processed and everything. But if you're not super happy with your scores right now, we accept the October, December, and February ACTs to potentially go towards scholarships as long as we have funding available in our kind of like in our account. So just if you're still kind of wanting to try to bump it up a couple points, take it October, December, February, get us everything by that February 15th final deadline, and we'll try to increase your scholarship. So are there any other questions?
Hey, Cassidy, I just wanted to kind of address one thing we didn't put on the PowerPoint that I want students to know about is Arkansas Rehabilitation Services. When Elisa was mentioning that you can apply for different scholarships outside of, the school and the counselor, what Arkansas Rehabilitation Services does is it is a company that works with students with disabilities or, and you think of certain disabilities, but I mean, it's like if you had a torn ACL in high school, ADD, if you have a physical disability, a mental disability, there's certain ones like that. But there should be an Arkansas Rehabilitation Services. I know there's one here in Russellville, but a lot of the bigger towns around Arkansas have those. And there is a deadline. But if you meet any of those criteria, and if you can Google Arkansas Rehabilitation Services and find the one local. I know there's like Pine Bluff and Little Rock and Greenbrier and all that have them, but definitely check into that and do it sooner than later because that's free money. I'm not sure how they award the money, if it's based on the severity of the disability or whatever it is. You do have to have doctor's notes documenting the disability. So, but that's something that a lot of our students get, that, hey, that's free money. So definitely check into that.
All right, good point. Well, if there is no other questions or anything, I've put in a couple different links. I put the email address for the financial aid office, fa.help@atu.edu, their phone number. I put in the honors link. So if y'all have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. I'll also put in the the ATU admissions office email also. So if you have questions specifically for our office, you can send us an email also. But if y'all don't have any other questions, and if Heather and Miss Elisa don't have anything else, or Deidre, then I guess we can let y'all go. We will also be we'll be live. Deidre and I will be kind of tag teaming the chat. So if y'all have specific questions about your applications or just kind of anything about ATU related, we will be manning that chat from 6 to 8. So you can go on your Go to College Fairs kind of our little page, and you can just shoot us a message and we'll try to help you. All right. Well, thank everyone so much for joining us. We really appreciate y'all spending time with us tonight. Bye.